Hello and welcome to episode 46 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. Of course, I am your host, Rick Doherty. Today we will welcome someone new to the show, my good friend Ty from North Carolina. Ty and I both spent time this past weekend at the Orlando Informer Meetup at Universal Orlando Resort. This is a special hard ticket after-hours event at Universal put on by Orlando Informer. The next meetup will be June 3rd and 4th of 2022. Ty is also going to talk a little bit about her recent visit to Disney Springs to see some of the holiday offerings. Before we get started, we're really trying to grow this thing, and we're providing more and more content on a daily basis on social media. I'm constantly adding videos to the Tall Guy Talks Travel YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. Honestly, if you're looking to do one thing for me this holiday season, it is do that right now. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a lot planned in the new year for blogs, vlogs, live streams, pictures, and videos from the parks. Follow Facebook.com/ear-to-there-Rick, Twitter.com/Rick_ear, Instagram.com/RickEar2there, and Twitter.com/TGTT podcast. Right now, it's time to welcome my good friend Ty to the show. Thanks for joining me, Ty.
Thanks for having me.
So this past weekend, we both experienced the Orlando Informer Meetup at Universal Orlando Resort. You went for 2 days, and I checked it out for one night on Saturday night. First of all, these things come with a hefty price tag. So we're not going to, candy coat that. Some of these theme park experiences are very expensive. This is one of them. You took your family. Was it worth it for you?
Realistically, just with COVID, my daughter not really having a senior year of high school, and then college coming in, and they have exams this week. So realistically, even though it was an intense, very quick trip, it was very well worth it. Very much so. We enjoyed it.
So one of the big selling points for that price point is you're dealing with an almost empty park. It is very, very limited capacity. Wait times for most rides are 5 to 10 minutes. Even the big rides sometimes get up to 30 to 40 minutes, but most things are pretty easy to ride throughout the course of the night. Did you find that both nights?
For us personally, Friday night was easier because literally the kids got on the Velocicoaster 3 times back to back. Whereas on Saturday, it was actually close to a 45 minute wait. Hagrid's was actually closer to a 45-minute wait, whereas Friday it was more like 25 minutes. But even so, still worth it.
And one of the reasons I would say this big price tag is still worth it is because, especially this time of year around the holidays, Express Pass at Universal is super expensive. You could pay more for a park ticket and Express Pass than you paid to be a part of the Orlando Informer Meetup. And there are a whole bunch of other reasons that make the Orlando Informer Meetup worth it. One of them is the free food, the free drinks, a whole bunch of free snacks. I took advantage of this almost maybe too much. This was such a big selling point. And for me, somebody who goes to Universal Orlando Resort a lot, I usually go at least once a month, sometimes a few more times during the course of the month. This gave me an opportunity to try food items without having to pay that big inside a theme park price for them. They had so many of their vegan and plant-based options. I'm a vegetarian, so I got to experience a lot of food that I wouldn't normally try because it would cost me $14 if I was there on a theme park day.
You're absolutely right, because one thing my kids know, since I got divorced, I plan our trips out. But whenever we go on our trips, they know, okay, you both can choose a snack you want. Let's agree on the main course of what we want to try, where we want to go, and that's it. But when you pay for the meetup, I hate to sound greedy, but you're almost a glutton because you can try so much that you want to get in all the sampling you can possibly get in, even if you probably know better and that you're really not that hungry, but you still want to taste it to see if you want to get it when you come back.
So what were some of the things that you tried that you wouldn't normally try on a trip to Universal?
Well, we had never gone to Three Broomsticks. So we went to Three Broomsticks because if you got there before 9 when they started the free food, the unlimited food, they gave you gift cards to eat. So we were like, okay, let's try Three Broomsticks because that's one of the places we always wanted to try. But then when you had to do the mobile orders and things like that, it just made it really difficult. So we were like, okay, we can actually try Three Broomsticks. It helps kill some of the time while people are still in the park. So let's go over there. So we did Three Broomsticks. Mel's, I had gone to Mel's, but like only for sodas. So I actually did stop to eat a burger over there. There was an Italian place. It's near the Jaws section. Well, it's before the Jaws section, more kind of like close towards the Blues Brother area where they had like the pasta.
So, Ty, I believe you were talking about Louis in the New York section there of Universal Studios, Florida. I had 2 slices of cheese pizza there. I don't usually go there because I'm not always in the mood to get pizza when I'm at a theme park because, let's be honest, Orlando theme park pizza isn't usually great, but this was really good. So it actually might have sold me for future visits to step into Louis and grab a slice of pizza.
Definitely. The only thing my daughter said about the pasta, she's like, okay, if I add a little bit more garlic, it'll be perfect. So for her to actually compliment pasta as much as she's a pasta person, I was like, okay, that's how you know it's good. But I'm a pizza person, so I enjoy the pizza.
And right across from Louis is Finnegan's, the Irish pub, and they were serving food almost like wedding reception style, where they would scoop it out and put it on your plate. And I was able to get a vegan pasta dish that was really light and refreshing. And when you're hitting it as hard as we were hitting it that day, something light and refreshing is definitely a benefit. Also, they had this bread pudding, which was the opposite of light and refreshing, but it was fantastic. I just had a tiny little slice of it. I was trying to pace myself as much as possible because I knew that I was going to be eating so many different things, but that bread pudding was great.
And see, I forgot we talked about that. Because when I went to get the pasta, I was like, where else was I supposed to go? But then the kids were like, no, we have to hop on the train. We want to get on the Velocicoaster. So it totally slipped my mind. I want to try it when I go back, though. Because I'm all about, if I'm going to pay for it, I at least want to be able to enjoy it. Because that is part of the experience. I don't care how many times I've gone to Universal, Magic Kingdom, anywhere. It's always like the first time. I'm always excited, as you can see. And I always want to try something different.
Yeah, being in a theme park with Ty is definitely a kick. Like, her Twitter handle is Big Kid at Heart 77, I think. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct.
And she is a big kid at heart when she is in these theme parks. And it's so fun. We were waiting in line to get ice cream in Diagon Alley, and she was just so excited. And it was really, really, like, I'll admit it, I get spoiled because I get to go so much. I live so close to these theme parks. And one of the things I love is when I meet up with my friends who aren't from around here, who are there on their once a year, twice a year vacation, and they are really, really so into it. It rejuvenates my love for the theme parks, and you definitely did that. But while we're talking about waiting for that ice cream in Diagon Alley, that was some good ice cream in Diagon Alley. What did you get?
Oh, well, remember, I double fisted it. I totally was greedy with it. So I got the soft serve orange marmalade and the hard scooped salted caramel. Both different textures, but really good. And I like both those flavors. But my daughter's favorite that she from now on will be the Earl Grey and lavender. I think that's the oddest thing, but I saw somebody else post online how much they liked it too. That's like her new favorite flavor there.
Well, I'll tell you what, she was so convinced that this Earl Grey tea and lavender was good that I actually got it, and I am going to stand by her recommendation. It was really, really good. You have to be prepared for it not to taste like an ice cream you've had in the past, because it is a little unusual to the flavor palette. But if you're prepared for it to be unique, it was really, really good. I definitely appreciate your daughter's recommendation on that?
Like I said, she loved it. She had gotten the strawberries and cream soft serve, ditched that to get the Earl Grey, and she was like, "Nope, that's what I'm getting from now on." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "I'm all for it in tea, but in ice cream." Loved it. She loved it. Which, had we not been at the meetup, I'd have been like, we're not wasting my money. Are you sure you're gonna try this? Because you're gonna eat the whole thing. I'm sorry, I don't care how old you are. I will still lecture you like you were a child because you're not gonna waste my money on food.
That is such a great point that you make, because there were things like that where if your daughter's recommendation wasn't good, I would have just been like, okay, I didn't like it. It wasn't my cup of tea, but I didn't spend a lot of money on it. There was a jackfruit sandwich, a barbecue jackfruit sandwich that I got at one of the locations. I never would have tried that on a normal day because it would have had to have been my meal for the day, and I wouldn't have known if I was going to like it. And if I didn't like it, I would have had to buy a whole nother meal or waste food. And I don't waste food. It was really good, and now I know that it's good, so the next time I'm there, I might get the chance to try it again. But I wasn't going to try it without, I wasn't going to try Earl Grey tea and lavender ice cream by myself.
No, I'm with you, which is why I feel like it really makes the meetup that much more worth it, because things you wouldn't normally take a chance on, you can take a chance on. Because I'm sorry, I know every bit of that money counts, and if I pay for it, you're gonna eat it. I don't care if you like it or not. You're gonna eat it. You're gonna choke it down and eat it. That's it.
And on a complete side note here, spending time with Ty is really fun because she is like a big kid at heart in the theme parks. But her kids are really, really cool, and that is a testament to a really good mom. So I did want to say that before we moved on to anything else. Your
Oh,
kids are fun. Your kids are really, really nice. I know a lot of times moms don't get to hear that all the time because people don't think to say it, so I wanted to say it to you while I had you on here.
no, I appreciate that. I'm not gonna lie, they're like gremlins. You just have to feed them before midnight because if not, they're gonna act up.
And you fed them plenty before midnight. So you were talking about some of the rides they got to experience, like doing Velocicoaster 3 times in a row. This is the big new ride in the Orlando area. Everybody who has done Velocicoaster has absolutely loved it. I imagine if they did it 3 times, they loved it as well. But what were their thoughts on Velocicoaster?
You know what? Okay, my son did say that part of him felt like Hagrid's went a little bit faster at night, which I thought was odd because technically Velocicoaster's the fastest coaster in the park. But I heard a lot of people get off of Hagrid saying, "Wow, that felt like it went really fast tonight." So their whole thing was they enjoyed it, they loved it. I never hear my daughter scream on coasters, but I literally knew every time she passed by me because I heard her scream. And then I knew to check the exit when they came out because it was dark. So I couldn't see them on the ride, but I literally pinpoint every time she was on that coaster because I heard her scream. So I knew she enjoyed it. But their whole thing was once they got off, they were like, wait a minute. I feel like I have to catch up with myself because I feel like I still left something behind. So clearly that was like the ride and they really enjoyed it.
I remember being at Universal earlier this year, right after Velocicoaster opened, and I went with my buddy Ken, who, ironically enough, I saw at Orlando Informer as well, and he rode it for the first time in his life. And when he got off of it, he said to me, he's like, I'm afraid that at one point during the ride, I said a bad word. And the person in front of him on the ride turned behind me and said, he swore the whole time. It was like involuntary because of how intense it was for him. He wasn't even trying to do it. I just thought that was funny. I still have not ventured onto Velocicoaster. I will do it, but I wasn't going to do it at night because that was not going to be my first experience with it.
Because I did so many crazy coasters at King's Dominion and Busch Gardens and thing when I was younger. But now, being of sound mind, I'm like, I have nothing to prove to you and I'll hold the bags. That's just how I see it. And I'm sorry, anything in the dark to me is way more intense. And so if you put me on a coaster in the dark, I'm going to be that much more tortured and not enjoy it. So that's a hard pass for me. Hard pass. I'll hold the bags, I'll eat a churro, I will cheer you on from the ground.
It's funny when you mention getting a churro and just walking by the cart and just putting out your hand and saying, give me a churro, and they would give you a churro. Obviously, we would be more polite than that, but the whole experience was something that I definitely want to do again. I was not expecting for it to be this fun. And, you know, when I'm there with Ty or I'm there with Ken and we can just sit down and have a conversation because you know the next ride you go to is going to be a 5-minute wait. You don't have to worry about getting every second out of your time. You know, I said goodbye to them and then just hopped on Spider-Man. There was nobody in front of me. I had the whole car to myself, and you just don't get those experiences. It kind of reminded me a little bit like when I went the first week or two after the parks reopened following the closure. It felt a little like that at some points.
I could totally see that. Because, like I said, Friday night definitely was more laid back. The only part that I didn't think was a smooth transition is from when the park closes to when it's the meetup. A lot of rides were like, oh, we're still getting a daytime guest out, which is totally fine. You paid your money. I'm not knocking it. But then it's like, well, if you want to come back in 45 minutes, and then it's like, oh, okay. Because at that point, you're like, well, I'm on this side of the park. What do I want to do over here? Because I really want to walk around to the other side of the park. And I'm all for walking and map my walk and get my steps in. But the reality of it is, wait, how bad do I really want to wait for this ride before I have to come back over here and check something else out? So that was the only part where I was like, I think that went a little better Saturday night versus Friday night. But Friday night, literally, you pretty much walked on to everything. You know, again, including the Velocicoaster, Hagrid's with 20-minute wait. That was really nice because for me, I just want to make sure my kids have the best time before exam week. So for them to be able to do what they want to do, enjoy it, and then come Saturday, they're like, well, we did the intense things on Friday, so we're good. We can eat more today. Then great. You like it, I love it. So, no, I definitely would say somebody, if they want to check it out and you want to taste the food, I don't go with a big budget to spend on food. I'm the one that will go with like the chips in my backpack, my own bottled water, because it's about saving money. I want the experience, but I know I'm on a budget. Whereas ahead of time, I've paid for these tickets. All I have left to do is a hotel, and I know what I'm dealing with. Don't have to spend any money while I'm in the park. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, I have mentioned that I am a frugal, we'll just go with the word frugal person in the past. It's funny because before I went over to Orlando Informer, the meetup that night, I spent the day at Walt Disney World. And I bring my own sodas, and because cans of soda were on sale instead of bottles, I had cans in my bag. And my friend asked me to put her Spirit jersey in my backpack. And because I saved the cans to recycle them as well, because I am that frugal, I accidentally got some soda on her Spirit jersey. It came out. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. It just sort of reminded me that, yeah, I'm always the person with soda in my backpacks, the person who brings a couple extra snacks and things like that to just try to make sure that I'm not wasting my money. We're probably going to do an episode at some point where I talk about different ways to save money if you're on a really tight budget. And if you buy sodas for like $1.50 in 20-ounce bottles at a gas station before you go to the parks, you're saving like $3 every time you have a soda. So that's a really good thing. Now at Orlando Informer, we didn't need that because we got free sodas in the freestyle machines the whole time. That was great.
I love the freestyle machines. I love those. Especially like doing Weight Watchers, every place doesn't have a decent amount of diet sodas for you to choose from. And when I come by diet root beer that actually tastes like actual regular root beer, like that's my favorite thing of all time. So no, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That's the one part that I could say I enjoyed guilt-free. The rest of it, maybe not so much, but I did enjoy my sodas guilt-free.
And I wanted to circle back to what you were saying about the crossover of people, because the day I went was the Saturday. I didn't go on Friday, and it was packed when we got there. You could get there earlier and enter with your Orlando Informer Meetup ticket way earlier than when the party actually started. But I would have been able to get in earlier anyway because I'm an annual pass holder, so that really didn't affect me. But there were a lot of people who bought the Orlando Informer ticket and wanted to get their money's worth for it, so they were there. And Saturday, 2 weeks before Christmas, crowds in the park already. It was uncomfortably packed.
We ended up eating at the NBC restaurant because we didn't really want to do rides. It was packed. You wanted to get there early enough to get your tickets and get the stuff out of the way. And we were like, is there any place open that we can get a reservation at? So we ended up getting a reservation at NBC. And we were sitting there looking out the window, and I kid you not, like half of my life, I joke about referring something to a movie, and I was like, ugh, if this turns into like Zombieland, wow, I'm glad we're inside because it was so many people. It was those many heads going by the window. Like it was ridiculously crowded on that Saturday night. It really was.
And as you had mentioned earlier, you got a $15 gift card to buy food before the free food started. And there was a food booth that was right outside the stage, right by Rip Ride Rockets, and then the stage where they have performers. And that night they had the Mannheim Steamroller there. And that's where I wanted to get this UOV vegan sausage that I wanted to try because it's a temporary food cart. They're only going to have it for the holiday season, and I had this $15 gift card. I thought it would be a really good opportunity to try it. I think I waited 45 minutes to get my sausage. It was that crowded because people wanted to see Mannheim Steamroller. They were all waiting there. It took a long time. It was packed. If I wouldn't have said to myself in my own head, just kept saying, it's going to get better when the day guests leave. It's going to get better when the day guests leave, I would have lost my mind. I would have felt claustrophobic, and I would not have enjoyed myself. But I knew what was going to happen eventually, and I just sort of sucked it up a little bit.
But you're absolutely right. That's why we opted to eat at a restaurant, because I was like, I don't want to wait in any line that bad. It's packed. We're here. Let's just sit down. I'm all about taking in the scenery. I mean, to me, anytime the sun sets and the sun rises at Universal, I just think it's just the greatest thing to watch. Like, I'm just about trying to take everything in, as you can see, because I still got excited when I saw different things light up and die on Elliot I haven't seen light up before. I think, especially after COVID, I just really, really appreciate taking every minute of everything in. And we thought about getting food inside the park, and I was like, yeah, I'd rather get something on City Walk because it's just too crowded, and I really don't want to stress myself right now. I was like, let's wait till later because this is going to be a long night, and it's a lot of people out there.
Was there anything you had planned to do while you were at Orlando Informer this past weekend that you didn't get to experience? Was there anything that you just missed it, you didn't have enough time, you got too tired, anything like that? Or would you say that you can do both parks, Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida, and do everything you want to do if you do this 2 nights?
If you know exactly what you want to do, you can get everything done in those 2 nights. Now, will you be exhausted afterwards? Yes, you will be. But can you get it all done? Yes. Like, we knew specifically places we want to try to eat because, like, I looked at the map, I was looking at different things. You know, we downloaded the app to look at, like, wait times. So we knew what we were working with. Because, like, with my kids, my son knew he wanted to get a burger from, what was it? It's in Marvel. It's in the Marvel section. Maybe Captain America over there.
There's a big Captain America right outside the building, so I believe you are correct, but I'll look up the exact name of it.
So he was determined. We were in Seuss Landing because they also wanted to get the Who Hash. And he was like, Mom, I really want to go back to get this burger. And it was like 11:45, and we couldn't figure out. We were like, wait, does it close at 12 or 12:30? That was still the tricky part that we were trying to figure out because we did confuse it between Friday and Saturday night. I was like, look, son, we're over here, and Marvel is just across the bridge. If you go by yourself, you can get in and out of that crowd and get that burger that you want before they close down. So, no, I can definitely say, if you plan out what you want to do and you know what you want to do, you can get everything done. Now, if you go there all willy-nilly, let's just see what happens, you might not be able to get it done. But we knew exactly what they wanted to try, the food place we wanted to go to. And so it was like from there, let's stick to our main purpose in the beginning. Once you get specifically done what you want to do, we can just free flow it from there and see what happens.
And it is Captain America Diner. That is the name of the diner. And yes, Ty got another Coke freestyle machine there because there is one there. I know I stopped in and grabbed a vanilla Sprite Zero, which was awesome.
Aren't those the best? They really are. Universal has me spoiled with those machines, okay? I'm spoiled with those machines. I really am.
You know, we know there's always the rivalry between fans of Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando Resort. I will say this right now. Disney has to find a way to do a refillable inside the theme park cup. You could charge us a ton of money for it. We would pay it because it would be worth it by the end of the day. If they had those freestyle machines all over the park.
So, since you brought up Disney and Universal comparison, Disney, as I told my kids, when they have like an after hours party, I feel like they filter out guests better than what happened for the after hours Informer Meetup. But I feel like overall, Universal wins in that aspect because I can go to Universal, and for me, I'm not going to lie, the highest I can go on my budget is Royal Pacific. But I absolutely love Royal Pacific in that I can pay for 3 to 4 nights and we all get free express pass. It's worth every dime. I can go to Disney, stay at a hotel. At most, I'd probably say Pop Century would be my biggest that I would do for Disney. And while we love the atmosphere and hearing the music and things like that, things have changed so drastically after COVID. My kids are like, no, let's stay at Universal because you get so much more bang for your buck and everything really counts. You know, it doesn't matter the age of my kids. As mom, I'll always want to pay for the family trips and I want to make those memories. Case in point of choosing the Informer Meetup, that was our main trip for the year because with one in college, one finishing high school, them both being in college, one does a fall sport, one does a winter sport, it was insane to try to get a schedule together for a trip. So I wanted this trip to count. So we stayed close to Disney Springs because I wanted Disney Magic, love Disney Springs, but absolutely love everything that we get at Universal. And the cast members are nice, and just the whole atmosphere. And again, the glutton, the unlimited food that I can try and taste that I haven't tried before. It makes it so much worth it. It really does. Add one last little tip that I read online that we are guilty of doing. Somebody said pack Ziploc bags because if you like the food, you can take a serving with you. Yes, yes, we did leave with a few servings with us when we left the park.
I would have been on I-4 driving home at 2:30 in the morning throwing down veggie burgers had I known that. So I'm glad I didn't know that. I probably would have gone even crazier with my plans. So you did mention, and I just wanted to touch on it a little bit before I let you go here, that you spent some time at Disney Springs because you just have to experience that around the holidays. So what were some of the things that you took advantage of when you were at Disney Springs? Did you go to any restaurants? Did you check out the holiday tree stroll?
I absolutely every winter when we go because typically I'd say we either go in September or November is typically timing of when we go because I don't want to go when it's hot. But I absolutely love the Christmas tree stroll. That's my must do every time that I go. I love seeing all the Christmas trees. Like that's my highlight. Now, like my kids in the Goofy candy store because I do like the Goofy gummies. I will add that in the Christmas shop because I like to get a new ornament for our tree for every year that we go. So for Disney Springs, just the atmosphere, the decoration, how everything is set up, that's why we have to go. But the new thing that we did this year that I've never done, we stopped at the Coca-Cola store because I wanted to taste the different flavors. And we finally tasted the dun dun, the Beverly. And none of us like it. It's gross.
So I went to the Coca-Cola store on the Strip in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time that I ever had the Beverly, and I had heard all of the horror stories about how it was so disgusting and how it was gross. And we had it at the Coke store in Las Vegas, and it lived up to that reputation of being gross. Then we had it at Club Cool in Epcot, And I think Disney makes their Beverly taste a little better than it actually tastes if you were to get it in Italy. It's just a little conspiracy theory I have because it's a little sweeter. It's really, really bitter, though. And sometimes if somebody sells it as being the worst thing you're ever going to taste, you might be able to talk yourself into not hating it. But it is definitely something that you have to be prepared because it is not what you think.
And see, I can say my kids went into it not knowing about it. I only knew about the Beverly because I've read about it on Twitter. My kids had no clue. I was like, hey, we're going to do this Coke, tasting of the different Coke flavors from around the world, which I also realized I get why we're more obese over here because our drinks are so much sweeter than in other countries. So, they were trying to taste something and guess where it came from. And then they got to the Beverly. And I mean, when I say their faces, I wish I would have captured that moment. They cringed so hard. I'd probably say worse than black jelly bean cringe. And it was like, no, why did you do this? Give me something else to drink to get this out of my mouth. Type, how dare you, Mom? Look that they gave me.
That is so fun. You always do have a really fun time when you're at Disney or Universal. It's really fun to go with you. What was your favorite tree on the stroll?
I can't lie. So I love Moana, so I love to see Hey Hey on there. But I'm always going to be biased and go with the Haunted Mansion. It's always going to be the win for me. That's always the one that I have to track down when I'm there. Because I'm like, so what did they do different this year? That's always the one that I absolutely want to track down. But I always just love seeing the uniqueness to the trees and the time that it takes to put the trees together. That's the thing that I always love about it. Because even though at home I don't have decorations out yet, I have a tree up, but that's because I have a year-round tree. So I change it based on the seasons. But with my kids being in college, it's not the same, and I haven't really just want to do anything. So going there and just seeing it all and the reindeer that they put out that an artist took time to make, I just really have an appreciation for all of that. You have to stop and appreciate it all. You can't just speed past everything. I think we go too fast in life. You really have to slow down and just appreciate the beauty of what's around you. You really do.
And that is such a great way to end this segment because I think that's one of the things that I enjoy the most about whether it's following you on Twitter or hanging out with you in the theme parks is you're always trying to just enjoy the moment and have a good time. And there's so many negative people talking about the theme parks, but you have to remember at the end of the day, this is for fun. We're doing this for fun. You definitely have fun when you're there, and that is why I loved talking to you today, and I love spending time with you at Orlando Informer. Thank you so much, Ty.
You're very welcome. I loved meeting you. I definitely want to hook up again whenever we come back.
This has been episode 46 of Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. We have a lot on the horizon, including episodes on Kennedy Space Center, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the new nighttime spectaculars returning to Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure, and the new nighttime spectaculars that have come to Magic Kingdom and Epcot. I will be going to the opening day of Epcot's International Festival of the Arts, Night of a Million Lights for Give Kids the World, talking with someone who went through the process of being accepted into the Disney College program, and having dining reviews of Boma at Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge, and Artist Point at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what is coming up in just the next few weeks on Tall Guy Talks Travel with Rick Doherty. I will talk to you again next Thursday. Until then, have a great week.